welcome to the webinar. The title today is Women's Empowerment, Social Entrepreneurship and Menstrual Hygiene and Female Health, African and European Perspectives. My name is Belinda Abraham and I work for Viva Con Agua, and I'll be moderating the session today, as well as with my colleague Teresa Retna, who's with GIZ. Sylvia Castro, a research economist at the LMU Munich in Germany, will share her insights on how social stigma and taboos impact economic development. Then we will have 3 examples from founders in the Global South and in the Global North. We will begin with Blandina Umzerenenge. She is a founder and CEO of Cosmotive Rwanda. She started her social business in 2014 to improve reproductive, maternal, and child health in Rwanda and throughout Africa. She will share her experience as a founder in the Global South. Bettina Steinbrugger is the founder and CEO of Erdbeerwoche. She's also the author of Bloody Business and is based in Austria and has focused her startup on breaking the taboos around menstruation and sustainability of menstrual health products and services since 2011. She will share her experience as a founder in the Global North. And to round off this session, Nancy Nyaleso is the executive director of Empower Her initiative in Kenya. She has streamlined the Empower Her financing, real-time tracking, and last-mile distribution of period products through its groundbreaking e-wallet Dignifies since 2019. And she will share her experience as an early-stage founder in the Global South. We hope you enjoy all the presentations today and look forward to your participation in the forum.
In Bangladesh, sanitary pads at the time were available, but the take-up was low and people were mainly choosing cloth. And we were wondering why. Now you can think, well, if the market is working well, it's because people are not interested in pads or a different set of cloth works for them. Now, if we believe that there might be barriers at play, you might want to keep researching a little bit and trying to understand further why women are not taking these products. And one thing we saw, I think, can be illustrated very well with this picture on the right-hand side, which is, well, in a society where women might feel uncomfortable talking with someone of a different gender about menstruation, people might choose not to take up these products. And in Bangladesh, shopkeepers and pharmacists, they are almost exclusively men. So we were thinking, okay, if you introduce this new product, some people might not take it up, not because they don't want it or doesn't meet a need, but because they might feel uncomfortable to do so. But let's test this, because it's also true that just because something could sound like a barrier, it might not be as strong as we initially need. So we came up with the approach of, before making these products available, and the organization was planning to make them available in garment factories in the country that have a very high female workforce, we had open discussions about menstruation. We selected 250 women from the factories, and we offered them to participate in a discussion about menstruation. It was a guided discussion about their thoughts, about their challenges, about just having this open space to discuss. We didn't discuss about the product, right? Because we already know that promoting a product and talking about the qualities that works, we wanted to see if just making people comfortable would change anything. And what we saw that people that had participated in these discussion sessions were 14% more likely to then go to pick up the product from this male shopkeeper compared to the rest of the workers that didn't. And we saw that actually the social norm, we measured this through surveys around buying products from a male vendor, changed and became more appropriate. And here the study concluded. But of course, there was still one step for REMI, for this organization that we were working with, which was, how do we scale this up? So doing group discussions with every woman in the factories, there are thousands or millions of people, is not very scalable. But we knew that the only thing we needed to do is just bring a bit of comfort to the topic and making people feel that it's okay to talk about it. And then they created a sort of radio emissions like podcasts, because during their work day, people listen to music, etc. So they added some jingles with messages about menstruation, incorporating it like as a normal topic. And even though the study was concluded, they still collected a bit more of survey data because, of course, if you collaborate also with researchers, you learn then how to run your own surveys and study on your own. So they kept collaborating, collecting data, and we saw that talking about the topic became much more appropriate, even at home, not only in the factory with the children. What we also saw, actually, was that some social norms changed, but not all, especially those related to washing the products. So washing for example, this underwear or even cloth, where anybody could see you or with the other laundry was not appropriate, and drying it outside once it was clean, it was completely inappropriate. So people were storing the product wet. And then what the organization came up was with a solution, because this is what entrepreneurs do. And they develop a washing bag and a drying bag that allows women to wash and clean the product as they hope for. You can see here more pictures. For example, here on the right side, you have the drying bags. So the underwear is hung here inside with a clip, and this is breathable fabric. So it allows them to overcome the social norm that we couldn't change through awareness. And on the right-hand side is a washing bag. Here it's upside down, but it has a scrubber at the bottom. It's very discreet appearance, etc. So this was a very successful collaboration that has been going on through many years. They are a very small enterprise. We were just a few researchers at the university. It was nothing complex, but I think we all learned a lot from it. So thank you so much for listening to the research insights.
Well, thank you so much, Sylvia. That was so interesting. I think there's a couple points that you raised, and I'm gonna then go into Teresa, so maybe we can see if you do have questions, answers, or insights. Questions and insights, please put them in the chat box and we will pull them up. I think we can stop a little bit here. We have a break because we're doing great on time. Thanks, Sylvia. But you mentioned a couple things which are very interesting. Number one, the importance of collaboration with research and with the social entrepreneurs, and that it's not only that they can improve their business and implications. And I think the great example of even having the jingles to kind of motivate the factory workers, the coming up with the innovations around the washing bag are great examples of how the collaboration can work to not only improve and understand what are the social stigmas and the barriers, but also to improve actually products and innovation. So thank you so much for sharing that. Teresa, do you see any questions on the chat box at this point that maybe people are interested? If you do have a question, please put the question on.
Belinda, up until now, there's no concrete questions on the chat. There's a lot of people, as we are over 100 people in the webinar, there's a lot of people introducing themselves, telling us about their stories, their interests. It's really amazing to see, and I'm sure we also learned a lot from what we've just heard. But I think maybe for now we continue and then we go to the questions later.
Great. Thank you, Teresa. So if you do have questions on her specific research or how research can support your entrepreneur, your work, please do put those questions in. I do see all the comments coming from Malawi, Rwanda, Kenya, all over. So this is wonderful, and even within Germany. So glad to
actually
see that.
Now there's, if I might quickly pull in one question, I think it's more like related to Remy, like and question about the material used in making the drying and washing bags. I'm not sure, Sylvia, if you can also maybe tell us a bit more about that. If you've also...
Yes, I would be, I want to encourage anybody that is interested to receive specifics to reach out, because the organization would be very happy to share their expertise with others. So yeah, so I have not developed the products myself, and all the technical lab stuff I'm less aware of, but they would be very happy to connect. So feel free to reach out to me. I'll put you in touch. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure it's an innovation that can be used for many other countries and other spaces. And that's exactly what the Academy Impact is all about. It's actually that kind of exchange where innovations from one organization can be shared with social entrepreneurs in others. So great start. Thank you, Sylvia, for setting the stage, the importance of research and which can lead to support further innovations, and a key part of economic growth and development. So then with that, we will move on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Bladine Umazirening. She is the founder and CEO of Cosmotive Rwanda, and she started her social business way back in 2014. And it was to improve reproductive, maternal, and child health in Rwanda and throughout Africa. And she's coming to us with the expertise of, as I guess, a more experienced founder in the Global South. Bladine, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Belinda. So, think about in Rwanda and throughout Africa. So starting with this, most of us as producers, manufacturers, when we are in this sector, the first thing we think about is just the positive impact we are creating. And everyone is amazed about the positive impact, but we don't go back and be mindful about the negative impact can have, whether it's on the users, also on the environment, or anything that can be negative as we design our products. So for us, it was crucial that we consider this, and that's why with our products, Cosmo Pads, we start from the sourcing of material, the design part, and we make sure that we design for less. By that, we make sure that we don't include any material that is not that needed to give the maximum of impact or usability that we need. And we make sure that as we design, we don't have any waste in the production process. So everything we have in our workshop is used at the end. And as we design, we make sure that anything we have as we design is able to be recycled. So our products, after use, they are used for 2 years. We can collect them back and we recycle them. So that's what we think about as a designer, making sure that we are mindful of the impact of our products in use, but also after use. And this came and became really more interesting during the pandemic, because most of our target users are mostly those who lost their job because they're in informal sectors, or they don't even have a job, or they rely on just working one day and getting something to eat. That time it was stopped. So our fact is that everything stopped, but the period didn't stop. So it was the time when the people we are targeting the most needed our product the most, but they didn't have money to afford. And our product, as it's sustainable, they can use it for 2 years or even more. It was the main time that we were also thinking about how creative or how innovative can we be to be able to make something that is cost effective for them, but also make it in a way that we are able also to get to them. Back to what Sylvia said about collaboration, we needed collaboration than ever because we couldn't move between districts or between regions. And this is the time we had to leverage on other logistics companies to be able to reach remote areas. That's the time we even used tech to be able to reach anyone who needed to order online. It was really the time that we wanted everyone, everywhere, to have access to sustainable products for their menstruation, regardless of their socioeconomic status. And with this, it didn't come as smooth as we wanted because we always get challenges. In the sector, we need regulations. So for us, as we came, there was no regulation around reusable sanitary pads as such. So for us, that lack of regulations hinder or block our growth because investors are hesitant to join. It broke or delay our mass production. It delays our plans for benefiting from the economies of scale, and it end up having a product to maximize the quality. It has also the costs related to all those other expenses coming because there's no regulation. So this is one example of our kiosk in remote areas. We end up kind of being into our distribution channel when we could just have other people in the supply chain to do it. And those on the bottom of the pyramid, the ones that we target the most, the one that we're sure to lack access or to miss school or miss work when they are menstruating, they end up finding the product not affordable. Yet our product saves 88% of the money that they should spend on disposable pad. So for us, the challenge becomes, or our task that we enjoy really to work on becomes, how might we design our model or redefine our business model in a way that allows everyone everywhere to access menstrual product when they need, regardless of their economies. And what keeps us going despite all those challenges is the joy. Like the relief you see in the eyes of the girls getting the products, or their testimonies about what it means having that product to be able to stay in school for 2 years, being able to dream without hesitating about, oh, I will miss 5 days next month at school, or I will miss this on live because I don't have something to put on, to join others, to learn, to go and just like do my other activities. So that joy is what make our team feel really like motivated, or feel the urgency of what we do, and also the confidence in them feeling like having this product is me taking my dignity in hand. So as a team, as Cosmotive, we just stand by the belief that if not us, then who? And if not now, then when? That's the quote that drives us. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for being in this together.
Thank you, Vladine. I love it. If not us, then who? And if not now, then when? And I think you have shown how challenges and global challenges like the pandemic help you as a business strengthen your cause and your mission, and also how you kind of navigated through that and what was really important to you at the time. And I think those are important lessons that I think can be shared for all entrepreneurs, but more importantly for those who are starting up new now. And I think we'll have more time to talk on that. I should embed a little question in your head, and which I'll come back to in our thing. The question will be, thinking back to your younger self. Yeah, thinking back to your younger self, what would you tell her now? I'll come back and ask that later to you. So great. So thank you very, very much for this presentation. And then I think we can move on to the next presenter. So if I can take the realms again, or it passes on to, yeah. So I would like to introduce Bettina Steinbrugger. She is the co-founder. Is it back to me yet? Yeah, it's not quite back to me yet, but maybe we can switch the slides to Bettina Steinbrugger. She is the co-founder and CEO of Erdberg Woche. I should know that strawberries. Strawberry Week. Tell us what Strawberry Week really means in this context. She's the CEO, and she's also an author of Bloody Business Austria. And today she's going to share a little bit of how she has focused her startup on breaking the taboos. And I do like to see, I've seen in the chat, the discussions around different ways in which we're breaking taboos to increase product supply chains, increase products and social entrepreneur work. But she's going to talk a little bit about how breaking the taboos around menstruation, and also on the sustainability of menstrual hygiene products and services. And she's been in this business since 2011. And she's representing, I would say, our experienced founder in the global north. So with that, Bettina, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Belinda, for this introduction, and hello to everybody. So great that we're having this webinar. Yes, as Belinda already said, I'm the co-founder of Erdbeerwoche, what actually means Strawberry Week. It's another term to say period, you know, in the let's say with non-direct ways. I don't know how it is in many other languages. But we know from German, English, and also many others that there are actually many synonyms around period, which is actually just the proof that periods and menstruations are still such a big taboo. And we chose this name actually to confront this topic, yeah, because our approach was always to educate around the topic with facts and figures, but also in a humorous way, because we believe that we can only break a taboo if we if we do it in a light way and if we keep this humorous approach. And that's why we decided to call ourselves Strawberry Week, so Erdbeerwoche. So what are our main pillars of Erdbeerwoche? We started actually in 2011 with an awareness raising platform for mainly adults, because we found out that also in the global north, menstruation was still a big taboo. And when we started the company, most of the people looked at us if we were aliens, that we were about to found a company around menstruation and also about sustainable period products. Because my co-founder and me, we come from the sustainability area. And it was by chance that we found out that especially in the German-speaking region, there are so many organic and sustainable products, whether it is in terms of clothes or food, but in terms of period products, it was really hard to find sustainable alternatives. And that is why we found Erdbeerwoche, the awareness-raising platform, but also an online shop where people could purchase sustainable period products. This was also one of our main pillars for many years, but why didn't I put it here anymore? Because we actually closed the shop some time ago. Why? Because our vision was to mainstream sustainable period products, and we actually reached that vision last year. So our goal as a social business has never been to, become the biggest brand of sustainable period products or whatsoever, but our vision has always been to change a whole sector and to make the big players, change their minds and start seeing that sustainability is a big issue in terms of period products. So nowadays we're collaborating with the big players, with drugstores, etc. And thankfully, sustainable period products are now widely available in the global north and especially also in the German-speaking regions. And that's why we shifted our focus now to where our work is still needed, and that's in the youth sector. That's why a couple of years ago, we have founded Ready for Red, which is actually a digital education program for teenagers aged between 10 and 16, educating them about everything they need to know about menstruation, the female cycle, period products, etc., in an interactive and funny way. It's unique of its kind because it also includes an augmented reality application where they can see how the female cycle works. And this is actually something where we see the education is still needed and where the taboo is still remaining. Now, over the last 14 years that we've been operating, we've seen this taboo thankfully really breaking in many parts of the society. We see young women, on social media really speaking openly about the periods. The media report about it. Yeah, we see the products, on the shelves in drugstores. But where we see that the taboo is still quite big is with very young girls. And there it's also the problem of a lot of misinformation and myths that still exist around periods. And that is why we created Ready for Red, and we see it still necessary to do this kind of education work. What has changed since then is that in 2017, before we developed Ready for Red, we did a survey among teenagers and we really found quite shocking results. For instance, that many girls did not even know what menstruation meant, and even more boys did not know. And we saw that after using Ready for Red, so the education platform, this number shifted tremendously. So 95% now know everything they need to know about this issue. And our impact so far is that we've reached more than 4,000 schools. The teachers can work with that platform individually, but what we would like to do is now to really scale that also to other countries, and hopefully that this can become possible as education as well. I think I will leave it with that by now, and we'll be happy to discuss with you further. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Bettina. I love the way you started it. In the beginning, we were a bit of aliens in the space, and people even questioned. And the fact that you were able to not only go from Erdbeerwoche to actually mainstreaming, reaching your mission, but also reshifting for Ready for Red, and now using the new technologies to reach the age group between 10 and 16, and also your kind of your career, how everything has sort of transpired since then. So it's super interesting as well. So I'm also going to leave you with the question, because we will have some time for discussion. But what would you have told your younger self way back when you were starting out? What are some of the things? It can be on a personal or professional level, but as an entrepreneur, what would you have told your younger self? So that's great. Thank you so much. And I love to see that there's still a lot of discussions and questions. We will get to those questions after our last presentation today. And then with that, I'm going to move forward and invite Nancy Nyaleso. And Nancy is an executive director of Empower Her. And she has streamlined Empower Her financing, real-time tracking, last mile distribution of period products through her their groundbreaking e-wallet called Dignified since 2019. And so you're representing the young, everybody's young here, but the young early stage founders from the Global South. And so Nancy, we're so pleased to have you to share a little bit about what you're doing and the great innovations there. So the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Belinda, and I'm happy to be part of this conversation on how we are transforming menstrual health sector, particularly in Kenya. As Belinda mentioned, my name is Nancy Nyaleso. I am the Executive Director of Empower Her. Our mission is to ensure that every girl has access to period products when she needs it and the dignity that she deserves during her periods. So we actually began as a manufacturer, and like many of us, we worked tirelessly to make the products more accessible and affordable. However, as we continued to grow and expand, we faced a significant barrier. And that was the fact that many of our customers needed products. However, they didn't always have the full amount of money to pay upfront for them to obtain the products. And so this financial challenge, coupled with the difficulties in distribution, made it hard for us to meet the overwhelming demand. We also heard from NGOs and individual sponsors who are very eager to help and connect with the women and girls who needed the products the most, but they were struggling. And so this led to the development of Dignify. Dignify is a tech-driven platform that streamlines financing, real-time tracking, and last-mile distribution of menstrual hygiene products. So how does this work? Clients are enrolled into the platform, and they can save amounts from as little as $0.05 a day. They can also rally their friends and their families to contribute and recharge their account. And then once they have accumulated enough savings, they get a product of their choice from our local agents, and they use our digitized wristbands and smart cards. So through Dignify, we are now providing access to a larger market for manufacturers and solving the last mile distribution challenge through our vast network of local agents who are closer to the communities that we work with. For NGOs and individual sponsors, this is an efficient way to do distribution because we provide you with real-time data for you to be able to track your social impact. And for customers, we provide financing options for them. And therefore, this is a win-win for everyone who's involved. So beyond just access to products, we are empowering communities to be agents of change when it comes to menstrual health. And how are we doing that? Through the pooling of resources by friends and families contributing. This has enabled a community-driven approach towards funding menstrual health. And now, through also the financing option, menstruators can intentionally budget for their menstrual needs and have financial autonomy when it also comes to controlling the money for their menstrual health products. And through the pooling of resources in this community-driven approach, and based on our experience, This has sparked a lot more conversations around menstrual health, particularly at the household level. And so for us, Dignify is not just a platform, it is a movement to ensure each and every girl has access to period products and the dignity that she deserves during her periods. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to join us in this journey and in this movement by partnering with us in kind, in cash, or spreading the word to individuals or organizations that share that interest. Thank you.
The Female Health and Hygiene Accelerator is a one-of-its-kind program that has as a main goal to support 10 enterprises working in the female health and hygiene sector in Kenya, in Uganda, and in Ghana to become investment ready and scale up. So we provide them with a approximately 1 year support that goes from identifying what are the key barriers that are preventing their scaling up, to training them in their growth strategies, in their financial management, to also giving them catalytic grants so that they can test their new business models, and by the end of the program also matchmaking them with potential investors or funding partners that can take them to the next level. So we are supporting 10 enterprises right now, from 3 from Kenya, 5 from Uganda, and 3 from Ghana, that are doing amazing work providing menstrual hygiene products and services in vulnerable communities, and really confident that by the end of the program, they are really better positioned to be able to scale up their impact and bridge the menstrual hygiene gap in their countries.
Being part of the accelerator has made us appreciate and understand our business strategy, has made us help us come up with key performance indicators, both with the revenue model and the impact that our bag can actually make. So we are excited at our future because it's going to be amazing. We are going to hit this market with a bang because we know how to communicate, we know where to research, and we know where our leads are, and we believe by 2027 we would have hit our targets. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Again, I love it. It's not a platform movement. And I think one thing that comes to me is that idea of financial empowerment, because it's not only just the product Dignify is allowing women to be able to afford these, but it's also giving them financial education and empowerment, which are all very important aspects. So thank you so much. And also, of course, bringing the products together. So I'm really glad to see, with over 100 participants on the platform so far, and some still listening on YouTube streaming, there's a lot of questions. Teresa, I can imagine there is a lot of questions. I've seen a few. I think maybe we can start a little bit in this next session to have a little bit of discussion. We're doing great on time. I'm happy for that. So thank all the presenters for that. So to starting, I thought I saw one from Shamira. But maybe we can start with that one. Over to you.
There are a lot of questions on the chat. I'm very happy to also see people really engaging. It's great. There's a lot of questions, but then there's also a process of interesting organizations that being done on our case. Maybe we can start with 2 questions that are addressed to Blondine. That are about rather like the material, rather technical questions. So a question from Bernadette Oyao was, how do you get your customers to buy the reusable product? As she is aware that there are many questions when it comes to reusable pads. And then there's another question by Shamira Nakalema and that is asking, how do you ensure the accessibility of materials for all participants, and what measures do you take to guarantee the quality of the products? So maybe we can start with those two questions to Blondine, and then we continue. There's a lot more questions.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Bernadette. I think the first thing we source from China, and like I have been able to meet manufacturers in 2019, and from there, from COVID, I did go back, and I was lucky that I was actually using Alibaba platform, and since then I kept using the Alibaba platform. And the manufacturers I was able to meet in the beginning, we didn't even keep working together because it wasn't smooth having only one supplier. So now we play around on the platform. We check all the quality that they have because they give them like kind of awards about like how, if the product, from reviews, the product, the way they respond, the way like everything, the way they do, you can see them on grades. And also they can share if their materials are certified or not. So that's how I play with like the material, because I know the material we use versus the credibility they have. And I check the cheaper one because they give different prices depending on how their currency is, the dollar. It's mainly that I use the Alibaba. I don't use only one supplier. I just make sure that I get the same material, same quality, same specification. It's mainly that. How do I make sure that the accessibility is? It's part of really the challenges that I said, because we handle the production and we end up spending a lot of time like making sure that they get everywhere they have to be. But we try as much as we can. We work with different resellers in more than 20 areas in Rwanda. We have our own sales agents with our branded kiosks in other remote areas. And we also have our van that does the mobile kiosk in really extremely remote areas, to just ensure that we are trying to get to as more places as we can. But it's still a challenge. It's one of the things that we really want to make on, because at the end of the day, having an affordable product doesn't mean anything if the end user is not accessing that product. I don't know if I responded to all questions or if I missed anything. Oh, yeah. About like the people, how they perceive this. I think like one of the things that happen, the people who feel like they can't wash the products, it's because they have another option. If someone doesn't have an option, they can't even think about washing or not, because what they use is even worse than that. So now the challenge is those who can afford easily, they might be like, no, I can't wash, or I can wash. For them, what works best is when we get people who buy just like because they want to support, and when they use, they are testing what they share about the comfort they felt, because from the first time they have been using disposable and they didn't know that rashes or irritation, if they are allergic, come from the pad. Otherwise, it's the pad. So everyone shares about the comfort. They're like, oh, actually, that thing is comfortable. It doesn't have smell. It's like all the worries, if it's shared by the person they look alike, it's easier for them. On the side of those who can afford at all, for them, we don't have any stress around I can't wash, because they use worse, like worse than like any clothes can be. For them, the challenge would be like the money. They like, how do I pay in one like in many installments, what Nancy solved already. Like for them, they will be like, I either buy pieces because that's what I can afford, or if you want me to take the whole package, you let me pay in installment. So that's what we deal with there. But like for approaching that or anything, we understand that the bigger thing is not having a product. The bigger thing has been really mindset, and we and like dismantling all those stigma in our society. And we use mainly art. Last year we were using poetry. This year we are using painting. We use art to bring the message in another in another way. And we saw that art works because some people are able to relate to what's said, because it's not like when I bring this product, I mean you're poor. When I bring this product, I mean you have an issue. So the art brings it in a way that is so different from when we go there, having our way of saying it. I think so far that's what I think were my questions. I don't know if I missed anything, you can let me know.
Yeah, thank you very much, Blandine, for that. And I think it's highlighted a lot, actually, the use of sport, the use of art and music, as we've seen in the presentation with the jingles, the art as an expression. So it's very interesting to see how different mediums are also used. So maybe we have a question. I did see some questions, so thank you very much for that, Blandine. Teresa, did we see also some questions for, I believe, for Bettina?
We do, yes, we do have some questions for Bettina. So I think, yeah, like the questions for Bettina go around because I think everyone wants to spread the word into the world. So there's this question about, is your material also being translated, or maybe it is already translated into other languages? Is the e-learning platform accessibility for people with disabilities? So maybe those two questions at the beginning, and then we also have one question tackling a little bit a different topic. If you also integrate men and boys into your programs, into your campaigns, so maybe this is also an important part that the participants in the chat here are interested in.
Yes, yeah, thank you for that. Yes, actually, some parts of Ready for Ed have already been translated into English, Spanish, Turkish, and Arabian, but not the whole platform, because the whole platform consists of more than 80 tools, so videos, interactive games, etc., which is quite complex and also cost intensive to translate. But many parts of them have been translated, and I think maybe now it would be too long to explain exactly how the platform works and how we work with the teachers there. But if somebody's interested, please reach out to me afterwards. So yes, we do have translated parts, and when it comes to the inclusiveness of the platform, we've just completed a project to make the whole platform more inclusive. So yeah, whether when it comes to language barriers or also disabled people, it's for sure not 100% inclusive, but we tried our best also, for instance, to reduce the amount of text, to make it as visual as possible, to include as easy understandable text passages as possible. And also with this 3D and augmented reality application, I think this is really something that gives a lot of people a very good understanding of how the menstrual cycle works, and also how period products work. So yes, about that. And sorry, what was the second question?
The second question was about the integration or also addressing of men and boys into the conversation, into the whole topic.
Yes, absolutely. So Ready for Ed is actually addressed to all genders. So also when teachers use the platform in their classes, they do not have to separate girls and boys. They can really work with all of them together. And we found out that this works really well, because through this digital device and through this digital program, the people, they have the possibility to interact on the one hand on their own. They also have the possibility to ask anonymous questions through the platform, but they also learn from each other. Like girls see what are the questions that boys have, and actually boys have a lot of questions around menstruation. It's just that sometimes they don't get the opportunity to ask them, because when, even at home, they are told by their mother or their sister, go away, it's nothing that, is for you. But it's something that boys are really interested in. So we found out that at least here in the German-speaking countries where we've been operating, it works really well in this diverse setting. And we have, for instance, a lot of videos where also teenagers, well, a bit older teenagers, so let's say 18, 20-year-old young people talk about their experiences. And we also have boys talking about the topic. And I think that is very important to have these peer group setting, so that they can learn from their peers.
Yeah, thank you very much for those insights. And I think maybe it also fits quite well to the topic of integrating men and boys into the conversation. We also have Eric Omondi in the participants or with the participants for this webinar. And as he is a male founder in this, yeah, as we can see, still a lot, yeah, highly female, yeah, sector of menstrual health and hygiene. Maybe it would also be interesting to hear a little bit from his experience. So Eric, if you would like to unmute yourself, I would be very happy and glad to hear from you. Let's see if this works.
Yeah, do we have Eric with us? We're trying to get Eric with us. So as we're getting Eric with us, Nancy, I don't want to forget you because I will also ask you to ask about your younger self. We're going to close the session off with that. So please don't keep that in mind. What would you tell your younger self? Yeah. So we're still waiting for Eric to join us. I think that has to do a little bit with the technique, but hopefully we get him there. Terry, was there any specific questions for Nancy?
Yeah, there was one question by Saranayit Chada asking a little bit about how reusable products are viewed in Kenya. Yeah, by the people using them. If you, Nancy, would agree that in Kenya reusable products are rather viewed as an as an inferior product for low income, as opposed to really be seen as a sustainable product. So maybe you can enlighten us a little bit about that.
Okay, thank you. And actually, just to build up onto what you have said, I think it's majorly the stigmatization around also the use of reusable products, and also the fact that in some areas there is inadequate water and sanitation, so it is not convenient for some of the menstruators, particularly from that area, to use the products. However, for me, I see this as also a call to action for us and the government and the policymakers within the water, sanitation, and hygiene space. Because as someone who believes in girls and women using products of their choice, I would want a girl who's comfortable with reusable to use a reusable, a girl who's comfortable to use a menstrual cup to use a menstrual cup, because I view water as a basic need that someone needs. You need water to drink, you need water to clean up. So the whole conversation has been complicated by, unfortunately, the inadequate access to water in some regions and the stigmatization around that. However, personally, I have come across people who prefer to use reusable pads. Yes.
Hi, Teresa, can you hear me?
Yes, Eric, we can hear you. That's great news. And thank you, Nancy. Actually, you've made, I think, whilst menstrual hygiene is a fundamental right, water is also a human right and the basis of which all of this can be happen. So thank you so much. And we'll come back to you and others on your younger self reflections. Eric, welcome.
Thank you so much, Belinda, and thank you so much, everybody, for joining in the wonderful webinar. I'm joining in from the eastern border of Uganda and Kenya, Busia.
Oh, fine. Beautiful Busia. The lake is not so far, huh?
No. It's actually just 20 kilometers from where I'm seated.
Oh, beautiful. So a little bit of your reflections.
Well, thank you very much. I've been following the conversations, and it's really wonderful also to hear from Bettina that the conversations around menstrual hygiene management is just not only sticking to the women and girls, but also getting to have boys and men involved. And I'm really happy to join in the webinar and share a bit of my experience. Just to put into context, I come from a culture where men are not involved in conversations around women affairs. And when it comes to menstruation, it's even the worst, actually. And for the last 10 years, I have been in this space. I got inspired by my mother, who is a women leader. And I got to see my mother attend to so many of these issues when women are coming. They have been beaten by their husbands for using money for buying food at home, for actually buying period products, buying menstrual products for themselves. My mother started to have sessions and classes on how to, support them to put together pieces of cloth so they could support themselves. And of course, this is not very different from what Sylvia mentioned earlier in her research report. I'm happy to see that the experiences are more or less the same within the different communities that we work in. So, seeing women and my fellow sisters and, the rural girls where I grew up going through this, and men are dumbfounded about these conversations, I got inspired and started off. And over the last 10 years, we've been involved in especially reaching out to the girls and women in the last mile communities with not only just the education, but also trainings on how they can support themselves in making appropriate menstrual care products. And some of the approaches we have used, we have been very key in bringing role plays. As you're aware, men are very receptive to things that are interesting for them. If you're just sitting them in a group and asking them to talk about, you bring them a health topic, it will be boring for them. So our approaches have been through role plays, getting to have a real scenario, a real problem, help supporting them to reflect through how much of a problem is menstruation to them within their household, and also their involvement, the importance of their involvement. And this is not only for the rural and the community men, but we've also extended this to the different schools where we're involving the boys. It's important to note that we think if you involve the boys right from school, then we are contributing to the mindset shift right from when they are young boys to when they will become men. And that has been our approach. And so far, we are seeing a mindset shift in the communities where we've operated here in Eastern Uganda. Men are becoming more receptive. Of course, it's out of 10, you'll find 4 of them saying, this is a topic I want to relate to, but it is, at least there is a change from when we started. Yeah, thank you very much, Belinda.
Thank you, Eric, for really a great addition to it. And I think, again, we've found very interesting art, jingles, role play, all kinds of ways in which we can engage communities, in which, the importance of even research to help us identify those areas in which we can engage. So I think it's been really fruitful. I totally agree with you. And I think now with a 90-second round, I'm going to go back to all the presenters there. I might even ask you, Nina, you're still with us, and I'm so pleased that you are. But also, what would you tell your younger self, even from going on? So maybe I start with, who can I start with? Vladine, you're on my screen first. 90 seconds or less. What would you tell your younger self?
I think the first thing I would tell my younger self is not to seek advice from someone who has not been in that place, because the first thing that happens, they will tell you, oh no, you can't do this. And it's coming from the place of love. It's not like they hate you. It's something they feared to do, so they give you what they have. It's that fear to do that thing. So it's first looking for someone who has been there. It's easier to get advice from them, because otherwise you can end up making the same mistakes they made. Another advice is really making sure that I focus on things I can control, and not like wasting my energy on things I can't control, because the energy is really needed in this sector. And having a network of those who understand what you're really into, all the challenges you can face, and get the right answer, is key. So that's the advice I would give the younger me.
That's great. I love it. Bettina, what would you tell your younger self?
Well, I would tell my younger self, really be patient. I'm a very impatient person, and when it comes to breaking a taboo, especially around a sensitive topic, it really takes time. We've been operating now for 14 years, and it has taken years to see some changes. And then, of course, things have accelerated when you see more and more companies and players coming up. But the first years were really tough. We were almost the only ones, working on this issue. And sometimes I was impatient. I was like, we already should see more results. But I think being patient is really important. And also you cannot break a taboo alone. So it is so
Absolutely.
important, to not be alone. Well, first of all, we were two in founding the company, and then of course had a team, but also, partnerships are so important. That's why it's so great we're having this webinar, and the possibility of community as well. We can only break the taboo together.
Great. Nancy, what would you tell your younger self?
Okay, I would tell the younger Nancy, you have to try to know, and that's my mantra. I cannot say something cannot be done unless I have tried it, and it's by trying that I learn on the job. And I think even the most successful people have had a series of trials and learned from those trials. So I have to try for me to know.
Beautiful. Sylvia, what would you tell your younger self? 30 seconds before I go to Nina.
I tell the younger researchers that are joining now this topic from fields that, and I see that some are here in the audience, that from fields that are not public health, that to keep with the topic if you're interested, because when I started as an economist, this was not a topic that economists research, and I'm sure that people in psychology, in management scholars, in sociology, other areas that might be also very male-dominated, and that get pushed back when they think this is a topic worthwhile researching, that they fight because it gets better, and now for me it's fantastic and there's a lot of interest. So this is what I tell them.
Thank you so much. Nina, can I ask you, it's not in the queue, but what would you tell your younger self now, bringing everything together? 20 seconds?
Well, I would tell my younger self, and possibly also my daughter, don't be ashamed. Be proud. Be proud to be a woman, and be proud to have your period. And try to have as many conversations as possible with your family, with your father, with your schoolmates, also with your classmates and your teachers, because this is part of what you are, and you can be proud of it.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Nina. So with everybody, I love it. Be proud as we go on to International Women's Day and for women's empowerment. I want to thank everybody, but we can continue these conversations. There were lots of questions. I saw Catherine and so forth, Ina, and so many comments. Let's continue these conversations. You can access this chat by, you see the link below here. Register for the Academy for Impact. Introduce yourself. Let's continue the conversations. Let's share that advice from our younger selves to others. Let's connect on topics. There's so many to be had. So if we go on to the last slide, I want to again thank everybody. They say it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a huge team to make a webinar. And I want to start beginning to thank the Support Academy with Think Modular, the GIZ team, Moritz Fonda, Nicole Glorian, Jan Slank, Alaha, as well as Teresa Retna for making it happen. And of course, the important team with Siemens, who's been really the mind behind all of it. Christina Meinhardt, Sabina Baumeister, Anna Balas. And let's continue to connect. Join us. You can put your profile, introduce yourself, and let's continue going on. So with that, thank you all. In preparation for International Women's Day, happy International Women's Day. Thank you also to all the men who made this possible. And let's continue talking in all the ways. Let's be proud and let's work together, stronger together. Thank you all for being part of this webinar.
Thank you for your excellent moderation, Belinda.
Proud to do it. And I think we close out with the music, but don't please join the Academy. Let's continue some more. So we close out with the music. Thanks, Think Modular.
The Academy for Impacts just started a few weeks ago and is designed to support social entrepreneurs and innovators, providing equal access to high-quality learning, resources, and tools. The online platform provides learning opportunities for growth and resources tailored to the needs of social entrepreneurs and change agents around the world. We recognize that meaningful change requires more than just passion. It requires expertise, collaboration, and the right support. That is why we are dedicated to building a community of like-minded individuals and organizations that share a common goal, using business as a force for good. We invite you to join the community. Introduce yourself, connect, ask questions, share your expertise. We hope that you will stay in touch, and we hope that you will join the forum. Thank you.